It's always fun to look back at the things that you have done, the countless hours that you spent researching and testing, and the inevitable moments where you wake up in the hospital because you messed up on a calculation. I've lost count of the broken bones now, but to me it's always been a matter of finding the right answer. Because of my chosen career path as an engineer, I often get asked what I think the greatest car is. And now it's a very easy answer, but the path to get to that answer was not easy at all. In undergrad, I built up many cars. One notable one was a Camaro Z28. I knew the formula summation of force equals mass times acceleration, and I decided that if I could build a powerful enough engine, I could reach 200 miles per hour. So I built up an engine, I found an open road, and I went for it. As the speedometer needle buried itself, the car began to lift off the ground. Now I backed off the throttle and I walked away unhurt, but I quickly realized that my college education was not going to provide a foundation for understanding vehicle dynamics. I would have to do that on my own. Now, as I skipped through my college career, I went through many more cars, and I realized that although German cars are talked about as being great performance cars, they provide very little for the money. On the other hand, when you learn to work on German cars, like BMW, Mercedes, and Porsche, you can really make a lot of money in college. Now let's fast forward to the Honda S2000. This is my favorite production sports car built so far. It is generally understood with sports cars you can choose two of the following three characteristics: cheap, fast, and reliable. With the S2000, you actually get all three. This is the only car I have ever owned that has provided all three characteristics. Now, before I owned my first S2000, I had heard lots of things about them, and the three things that really stood out were snap oversteer, lack of torque, and of course the argument AP1 or AP2. The snap oversteer problem can actually be a real problem. You see, there's a design flaw in the rear suspension where the rear toe actually changes throughout the suspension travel. The car will toe out under rebound, essentially steering the car into a spin. A lift off the throttle in any car while cornering is a bad idea. In the S2000, it will result in a violent spin. Now, let's compare an S2000 to a German car, for example. This BMW is very easy to drive at the limit. The longitudinal component placement places a lot of weight on the ends of the car. While this is not the best way to make a car that rotates quickly, it's a good way to make consumers and automotive journalists happy. The AP1 S2000 will punish you if you don't know how to drive. Take a look at how far back the engine is placed in the S2000. The turning response of this car is absolutely incredible. Now, driving the German car is as easy as balancing a hammer on your hand. Driving the S2000 is more like balancing a pencil on your hand. Obviously, it requires some skill. Let's talk about the lack of torque argument. The shifter in this car is just as precise as your home defense weapon. If the torque is a problem for you, simply press in the clutch lever, blip the throttle, pull the lever. Choosing between AP1 and AP2 is a matter of buying what you want. The AP1 has a 9,000 RPM redline and produces 240 horsepower out of a tiny 2-liter engine. It has wider gearing and different suspension tuning than the AP2. The AP2 provides a refreshed look with a larger displacement engine. The AP2 is said to be softer. While that may be true, it is very refined and a much better overall car than the AP1. Personally, I would not hesitate to buy either, but if money is no object, then I recommend the 2006 and up S2000s. The S2000 is so good that prepping a stock S2000 is as simple as bleeding the brakes. With minimal mods, the S2000 can keep up with all of the midlife crisis cars. I regularly surprised instructors with how fast my car was. At this track you're playing with a lot of people with more horsepower than you.
This is true.
And that's why...
Not that I noticed this car has any problem with that. You were eating GTRs out there.
The amazing thing about the S2000 is that it accomplishes all of this without the use of high-tech mechatronics. The engineers who designed this car stuck to basic vehicle dynamics methodology, and the results are incredible. Because of this, the Honda S2000 is my favorite car, and I doubt that anything will take its place soon.